the city council meeting. Invocation will be done by Vice Mayor Krista Rizzi, and the Pledge of Allegiance by Gail Evans.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for the privilege of being gathered here today to do the city's business on behalf of our constituents. We ask that each of us be guided by you in the decisions we make that will affect others and not by any personal agenda or ego. We ask to be humble in our disagreements and that we never forget we are here to serve the people of this beautiful community. Father, I ask for your protection for all of our first responders, those serving in our military, and all of their family members. We ask that they each be brought home safe every day. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen.
Don't hear that every day.
First, I want to say thank you all for the pledge. Real strong. It's been a while since we've heard it that strong here. Thank you. Okay, roll call.
Mayor Wilson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rizzi,
Present.
Councilmember Biggs,
Here.
Councilmember Evans,
Here.
Councilmember Gremmel,
Here.
Councilmember Nesser,
Present.
Councilmember Schroeder.
Here.
You have a quorum, Your Honor.
Thank you. Consent agenda. As a reminder, all items on the consent agenda will be approved with one motion. If a council member wishes to remove an item for further discussion, the request will be made prior to approving the consent agenda and will be moved to new business. Do I have a motion for a consent agenda?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs,
Yes.
Councilmember Gremmel,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rizzi,
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser,
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder,
Yes.
Mayor Wilson.
I'm going to vote yes, but I want to make a quick comment on that. Number one, there was a comment made at the last call to the public, the last meeting, about the council members intervening and telling or stopping some code enforcement rules. I just wanted to say that that was incorrect. It did not happen that way. Yes.
All right, thank you. Motion passes, Your Honor.
Okay, awards and presentation, that we have none. Regional and intergovernment updates. Anything from the council?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
Gail?
Not this evening.
Yes.
I do, Your Honor.
You got one.
I do. I have two of them. So the PRTA, the 70-plus million, that's still in escrow, waiting for a judge's ruling, so we're just kind of in limbo there. On the CAG part of it, resolution number 2022-02, expanding the designated management agency boundary for the city of Apache Junction and increasing the capacity of the Superstition Mountain Community Facilities District Number 1 wastewater reclamation facility was approved during our last CAG meeting, which is a good thing for the new development down south.
Kelly?
I do, Your Honor. Yeah, I wanted to just give a report on GPEC, which is, for those of you who don't know what that is, it's the Greater Phoenix Economic Council. They held their first Board of Directors meeting on January 20th. They are continuing to work to attract and grow quality businesses and advocacy for the competitiveness of Greater Phoenix. Let's see. GPEC is approaching actually their 30th year for serving the area. They discussed how Greater Phoenix has matured from the 5 Cs, which we all know are cotton, climate, copper, citrus, and cattle. Now we're becoming a hub of innovative technology, cybersecurity, autonomous vehicles, and a corporate nerve center. So I think GPEC is going to be even more important than ever now with our growth down south. So it's an exciting time. Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes.
Nothing, Your Honor.
Well, I'm just going to make a quick comment concerning our, the festival that we had for the celebration of our 50 years, or no, 100 years, excuse me.
100 years.
For the naming of the city of Apache Junction, or naming Apache Junction our area. The Dispatch in the Casa Grande did a front page article on it, and I thought it was very unique in that it showed even some pictures, which is great. And so even outside our community, the information was passed on, which I think was a terrific idea. I want to say thank you to all the board members of the Centennial Committee, and that's all I have. Okay, city manager's report.
Thank you, Your Honor. Bryant Powell, City Manager. We've got a couple of really exciting items to share in my report, but before that, I just wanted to share one other event last night where we were able to swear in Chief Mike Pooley, and we have a photo of that all full room. It's great to have two nights in a row of a full house. So for those who may not be aware, Chief Pooley is now sworn in, and how did the first day go, Chief? We're okay?
He's graying He's graying already.
Here.
It's already graying, so we're really excited to get him going, and we're off to work. We did get some media swear. I don't know if you want. Can you hit play? Oh, okay. This is still, but Channel 3 and I believe Channel 10 carried it and shared a few of his comments from last night. Al shared the live stream, and they picked up, or the actual link of it, and picked up some of that. I would like to now turn the time over to Councilmember Grimo. We have with us members of Desert Vista Elementary School Student Council, as well as members of the honor students of Avalon Elementary, who are awesome, great schools in our city, and we're so happy to have them here. So, Councilmember Grimo, you want to do the introductions?
I certainly will. We're so excited about having you guys here this evening to actually witness how a city council meeting works, and to help encourage you as you get older that perhaps someday you may want to take it upon yourself to run for office and become a city council member or a vice mayor or a mayor. So we're so happy you're here. And what I'd like to do is I would like to introduce all of you guys. Once I say your name, if you would just stand up briefly, we'll hold our applause till the end, and then we'll give you a great big applause at the end, okay? Okay, so our first group is from Desert Vista Elementary Student Council. We have Mrs. Patricia Smith, who is the principal, Mrs. Ginger Bailey, who's the student council sponsor, Aiden Baker, who's the president, Madeline Dennison, the vice president, Annika Thompson, the treasurer, Genesis Elizondo, the historian, Janet Lanfear, secretary, Violet Smith, who's the 6th grade representative, Alejandra Balion, 6th grade representative, Emma Gonzalez, 5th grade representative, Kaylee Hale is a 5th grade representative, Hayden McKinney is a 4th grade representative, and Haley Varney, also a 4th grade representative. So thank you guys for being here. Now I'm going to switch over to the Avalon Elementary School. So we have, adult-wise, we have Mike McCord. Mike is the principal, right? And also, for those of you who may not know, he's also our Pinal County treasurer. Tammy Simmons, John McBride, and then we have Maria Espinosa, Kelsey Hutchinson, Chevy Guile, is that close? Samuel Orozco, Sarah Romo, Jason Walker, Serenity Wiles, Jesus Marquez, Richard LeCount, Victoria Chavez, Shay Richards, Meadow Hodge, Ashley Norjay, Am I close? And then Judy Aguion Chaveras. I don't know if that's close or not, but anyway. Thank you.
Thank you. We're so happy to have you here, and learning a little bit about local government and civics is crucial as we build our next generation. I'm so glad that you all made the effort. We are also very happy to have here with us Daryl Cross, who is our current president of the Superstition Horsemen Association, board chairman, I should say. Back in September, we had a report of an accident dealing with a vehicle and a horse and a resident. And Daryl, we'll turn the time to you. He's got a presentation on helping us stay safer.
Right now? You got it.
Yeah.
Perfect. Can everybody hear me okay? Good evening, everyone. Honorable Mayor Wilson, City Council, and staff, thank you for having me tonight. It's an honor to be able to stand before you and give this presentation. My name is Daryl Cross, and I'm the current chairman of the Superstition Horsemen's Association. And over the last 4 months, we have lost 2 horses to motor vehicle collisions here in the East Valley, one right here in our own community. The one accident that we had here in our community involved, both horses passed away, but in our situation, the rider was severely injured and very fortunate to be alive. The Superstition Horsemen's Association has launched a new program that we are calling Ride or Safe Ride. SHA is committed to help to prevent these types of collisions from occurring in the future. So, if you look in this picture right here, if you notice, there's 2 horses in this picture. The one on the left is clearly visible. The one on the right is not. And just the difference in having reflective gear can make all the difference in the world. And if you notice, it's not even dark out, it's twilight. This is how we'd like to have our horses visible. Those lights right there on the horse's feet are these slat bands. These slat bands, you just go up to your horse, and that's around the foot. Or you can put them around the tail. But what we're doing right now is we're giving each and every single rider that we come across 2 sets of these, or 2 of these, a pair of these. And then Mayor Wilson has been passing out, as well as the rest of us at SHA. We have a bunch of these blinking lights. And there's a little button on the back, and it starts blinking, as you can see. SHA wants all of our riders in the community to have a safe ride, and one of the ways to accomplish this is by providing these slat bands and the blinking lights. These items are quite small and should easily fit inside a saddle bag because they just roll up nice and small. And so they're very convenient. We can keep them in our saddle bags, and the blinking light can stay in there. It's an LED light. The batteries on those should last for numerous uses. A lot of people say, well, I don't ride at night. But unfortunately, they find out that they took a trail or the wrong trail, and next thing you know, it's twilight or it's dark, and they're just now getting back to having to cross a road to get back to the stable or get back to their home. Yeah. That's when we want them to stop, dig these out, and get them on their horses, because it'll make all the difference in the world. So one of the things that we're showing is before you head out, make sure you're prepared. consider having a reflective vest. Make sure you have your slap bands, your blinking light, a headlamp for yourself. What if you get your horse lames up and now you have to lead him out? It'd be nice to have a light so you can see. Your horse can see just fine, but if you're tripping and stumbling trying to get your horse out to safety, you kind of need that light. It's also a great idea to have a riding helmet, especially if you're riding around our roads. It's the older you get, the harder it hurts, or the more it hurts when you hit. So, know your hand signals. Signaling for riding down the road with a horse is the same as riding a motorcycle, riding a bicycle, or riding in a vehicle that doesn't have turn signals. Use your hand signals for a right turn or a left turn. On a horse, you can use either. You can go that for a right turn. You can use your hand down like this to stop. If you have vehicles coming at you, you can do this to get them to slow down. And if you have a situation where your horse is completely disturbed and out of control, put your hand out, straight out, try and get that traffic to stop for you until you get your horse under control. That's another thing that we'd like to get, put together another brochure strictly for our motorists so that they know what the rules and how to be safe around our horses. If we have if our motorists around us have the proper information on hand, because it's not taught when you go to get your driver's license. There's nothing in the driver's license manual that talks about how to be safe around horses. And we are a horse community, and we have more and more people moving into this community that may not have a clue how to act around horses. And it would be great to get this information out to them so they know how to approach us. They know that they need to slow down. Okay. We talked about the hand signals. We talked about using our arms for signaling. Talked about slowing down. A friendly wave. So when a motorist does slow down and passes you, give them a thank you. Nod your head. Acknowledge that they did a great job. And for God's sakes, if they do a lousy job, don't make a confrontation out of it. Don't tell them that they're number one in your book. We don't need any hand gestures that can cause a confrontation. Try and keep a hold of your horse and keep him under control. Take a deep breath, settle down if need be, get off your horse. Keep your horse under control until your nerves are settled, and then your horse's nerves will settle. Before crossing a road, look. We have electric vehicles coming into our community now. They don't make hardly any noise. Your horse knows where they're at. He can hear and sense stuff long before you have a clue. So pay attention to the horse. He'll tell you what's coming. So I want to thank everybody for taking the time to hear this. A couple other things I want to just put out there is that we've put together, that we've started an awareness video campaign that we want to broadcast to the community. The video shows two horses walking down the street, one with reflective gear, one without. Unfortunately, the first sets of video footage didn't turn out the way we wanted, and so we're working on that, and we're going to do another Photoshop, and hopefully we can get it right the second time. But with that video, we want to blast that out to our social media, and because we have a huge social media presence here in AJ, and if we could get the city of AJ to help us out in promoting it as well, we certainly appreciate that. We've also started with Parks and Rec with Liz to work on signage for our crossings. And the signage that we need for the crossings is just not only for horse crossings, but it's also hikers and bikers. All of our trails are multi-use trails, And having proper signage up at most of those crossings, the most heavily used crossings, would be very beneficial. So with SHA's help and with the City of Apache Junction's help, I think we can make Apache Junction one of the best horse communities in the state of Arizona and the safest horse community here in Apache Junction. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Your Honor.
You go ahead.
I did have a couple questions. Thank you for asking if we had questions. 2 questions. Is there a way that people can donate to this project? Is there-
Absolutely.
Okay, how would we do that?
So you can either contact SHA, and we do have a PayPal set up, but we have a PayPal set up on our Facebook page or on our web page for donations and for annual dues. So you can make a donation that way, or we're going to have a booth set up at the Lost Dutchman Days, and we're going to be giving out lots of this safety gear.
Yeah, it costs, that's why I asked.
Yeah, it does. We just had a big event over at the East Valley Backcountry Horsemen put on an event at the rodeo grounds, and we were very fortunate. We took in $268 in donations. But to give you some cost ideas, the slap bands, we ordered 500 of those, and we ordered 500 lights, and that's over $1,000.
Right, right.
So they add up fast.
And then
They
I
really
have a Joel question real quick, if I can wrap up. Is there a way, being that we're a horse community, is there a way that we can get this information either on our city website or on our, the electric sign? What is-
On the marquee would be,
On the marquee?
Great.
Is there a way to do that? Or,
It's more of a policy, city manager
Yeah.
question.
The answer is yes. We have, through council policy, set up a process in which the organizations, any organization, nonprofit, shouldn't say any, privates cannot, but nonprofits can certainly reach out to Beth on going through the process to get on the marquee.
Yeah.
We'd love to help and facilitate that.
That would be
I'll give Beth a heads up and just reach out, and we have a city council process on that, on what to do. And then the
Website.
website, yeah, so Al, let's get in touch with, figure out what we can communicate. We do have a desire to help public information for public safety get out in both those means, so the answer is yes.
good, great, thank you.
excellent.
Gail?
I just wanted to have one comment, and thank you so much again. I always had rode with the Velcro ones of these, because we are a dark sky
Yeah,
community.
that's another-
We're not official dark sky, but we have a lot of really dark areas. And with all of you kids here, you may not be on your horse, but even on your bicycle, something like this makes all of the difference. On my way over to our meeting tonight, there was a person on a bicycle wearing a black jacket, black pants, and he wasn't under a light. And just something caught my eye that I even saw him there. So, yes, Daryl's done a great job for the horses, but it applies to bicycles and anybody on the roads too. So please be careful.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's why we're calling it Safe Ride. Anytime that you're out there, people don't realize that at dusk, twilight, right when the sun's already set and it's not quite dark out to where you can see the sky, stars, you look in both directions, east and west. In one direction, you can kind of see pretty good if you're looking east, if it's in the afternoon. But as soon as you turn and look west, man, it's dark.
Yeah.
Even though the sky is light, everything on the ground is dark.
Or early morning.
Early
You know,
morning.
even during the day,
Exactly.
it's helpful to wear those vests. That's why school buses are the color they are.
True.
Even during the day, it doesn't hurt to wear a vest.
You know, the nice thing about most bicycles, they are required to have the reflective gear on them when they're sold. But unfortunately, some people modify their bikes and they don't add that stuff back on.
Daryl, just curious, has SHA approached MVD and asked them to put that in the driver's manual for, at least for new people taking a test for a driver's license?
No, we have not as of yet, but that is an awesome idea, and that's something that, you know, we would love to see this thing balloon out of control and go throughout the community. Queen Creek's a big horse community. Gilbert has some horses. Scottsdale has a lot of horses. If we can turn this into a viral event and really get everybody on board with it, it would sure make my day, make my year.
Yeah.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Daryl, I know the AJ Unified School Superintendent's in the room, but we also have Imagine Prep and Apache Trail High School. Have you approached any of the schools with driving age students to see what type of, if like a driver's ed class is taught, or if you can get into the schools to talk to those kids, one, about, slowing down and paying attention to the road, but two, to pay attention to the horses and obviously the kids and all the other distractions on the road as well. That would be a great opportunity for them.
Another awesome idea. I just wrote down ADOT and schools, driver's ed. Maybe the principal over here.
Your Honor.
Do you have a driver's ed? Is there still driver's ed?
Your Honor.
Yes.
Daryl, I think a lot of people, and correct me if I'm wrong, if what your opinion is, but I think a lot of people think, I'm in a car, I've got the right of way. Horses, bicycles, everybody else should, kind of stay out of the way of cars.
Right, right.
So I think it's definitely an education situation where people who are riding bikes, riding horses, that the motorists need to be aware to, don't take that attitude of that they have to stay out of your way.
The bigger the
Right,
car, the
right.
bigger the right. The bigger the car, the bigger the right.
Yeah.
Kelly, do you want to say something?
No, Your Honor.
Very good.
All right, good.
Thank you all. I really appreciate the time and the opportunity.
Thank you, Daryl.
Thanks, Daryl.
Thanks, Daryl. We'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Your Honor, we're going to have Al come up. As he's coming up, I just was wondering, how many of our city council members were in a student council? By raise a hand. There you go. 4, there you go, youth. See? 4 out of 7. That's what we add up to, or 4 is what makes things done. Al, do you have a couple items for our report?
They get to have cooler hair than we do, though.
I was a student council too.
1940.
Wow. Okay, well, there goes Councilmember Biggs' announcement. Good evening to you all, members of the mayor, Mr. Mayor, and members of the City Council. Al Bravo, Public Information Officer for the City of Apache Junction, and we do have a couple of announcements just to pass along to you on this particular night, first night of February. We appreciate all the students and their teachers and administrators in the audience tonight, and it reminds us that we just completed another Kids Idol competition, and congratulations to, we actually have a winner in the audience tonight because the K through 6 winner, Serenity Wiles, is right there. Congratulations. The 7th through 12th grade winner was Sophia Barlow. The fan favorite was the Avalon Choir, vocal range. And the organizers winner, the Braden and Jeff Award apparently, was Connor Spike Miller. So congratulations to all the AJ Kids Idol folks. I'm sure that was a lot of fun. A reminder, of course, that we're into February. That means it's Lost Dutchman Days month. The marathon on the 20th, and of course the rodeo on the weekend, the following weekend, and the parade on that Saturday morning. We hope everyone will join us. A reminder also that Horizon is offering vaccines along with a couple other locations in town. And I apologize, Councilmember Biggs, did you want to mention anything more about Kids Idol before I finish?
Yes, especially given that there's a bunch of kids in the room. So this was our 5th year for that competition, but we do this competition every year. It's always the last Sunday of January, and we start the audition process the August prior to that. So be on the lookout for that, kids, because as Serenity and Kelsey and a couple of others in the room, you can audition for that and be a part of that opportunity. And at the actual competition, you have a chance to not only become that year's AJ Kids Idol, but win $100 and get a plaque and kind of be recognized throughout the year. And so with that, I just want to thank all of our sponsors in the community who help make that possible, which are Fat Man's Pizza, Cabot's Ace Hardware, Paget Business Services, Harris Accounting and Tax, Western Lifestyle Realty, McDermott State Farm, Divine Signs and Trophies, Obie's Trains, KRDE Radio, A1 Auto and Muffler Repair, Amazing Dental, Crazy Horse Saddle and Tack, Three Phase Mechanical, Juniors Recycling and Art and Tire Sales, AJI Sports, Ted and Kelly Grummel, Barlene's, Arizona Opry, and the Hitching Post Bar and Saloon. So, thank you.
There we go, and that's our announcements for February 1st, 2022.
Thank you, Your Honor. That concludes my report.
Okay, I'm going to make one quick little comment, because all the young adults that we have, and I'm going to call them young adults because they are working their way up. I know back when I was in high school, one of the things that I said, there'd be no way in heck I'd ever be in a position like I am right now, and that I would for sure stay away from it. I had enough of it when I was in high school, being pointed out that, all right, I was part of the council for my senior year. Yes, it does, and yes, you can, and you can get a lot of enjoyment from it in trying to help your community out. So I encourage you all to, as you get older, to look forward to working with your communities. Now, so much for my ad. Okay, excuse me. I lost my, okay. Public hearings. We have nothing for public hearings. We have no old business, new business. Jennifer.
Thank you, Your Honor, City Council. Last year, during the May and June budget discussions, Council had made several comments regarding the Health and Human Services Commission, its purpose, inquiries on the application process, and how we quantify the services provided by the nonprofits. At the end of those conversations, it was stated that the topic would be brought to the council retreat being held later in the year. During that retreat, both I and the city manager briefly addressed the history of the Health and Human Services Commission dating back to the late 80s, recent updates to the contract that were done in 2018 and then again in 2020, the application itself, the overall process, a creation of a timeline from funding application to, from the application process to the funding of it, and then a metrics for ranking the funding allocations. At the retreat, the request was to bring back this item to council for further discussion prior to the 2022-23 funding recommendations. During the 2021 May and June council meetings, it appeared that there were two main inquiries that council had on this. One of them was the duties of the commission, and was it still current? If council does not mind, I can read those 5 duties that the commission, I believe I also sent them to you. They are defined in city code, as are all the board and commission's duties, their makeup, and their responsibilities. The current commission duties have changed very slightly over the last 30 years. It is to conduct public hearings amongst the community to determine the needs of city residents with regard to public health needs, provision of human services, and care of the elderly, handicapped, and developmentally disabled. B was to enhance the development of the public health through public forums, seminars, and work with other agencies in the community. To review requests submitted by health and human service providers, which are defined for us as 501c3s, for city funding, to make recommendations to the council regarding that funding, to assist in the development of healthcare facilities, and this dates back to the early 80s when the commission was actually assigned the task of helping assist in building having an organization build a community health facility out here. And the last was to make recommendations to the council regarding elderly health care and emergency transportation programs. Again, they were non-existent in the community. The other area that council had inquiries in was the application process and compliance with the contract for services that we have with the nonprofits. So as I mentioned, back in 2018, Joel and my predecessor spent a significant amount of time redefining the contract. And then again in 2020, we actually took the ordinance which defined what was to become the application, but there was never a set template as to how that came in. So sometimes it came in a summary, sometimes it was all just a variety of documents that you had to go through. In 2020, we took that ordinance and we actually set up a standardized application. Within that also was a rubrics for the commission to help them determine the funding amount and what justified their funding. Staff audits, so with the contract, we can't assign that responsibility to a commission. That is staff's responsibility to manage the contracts and make sure that they are in compliance with what services they said that they would be doing that year. So each quarter, they have a deadline to file their quarterly reports. They provide receipts. We go through them thoroughly. If we have questions, we reach out directly to them and ask them to provide more information. The ordinance does state that if we are looking for more information, we have the ability to ask for that. The process has been sped up significantly. We receive quarterly applications, and I think within 10 days, they're already in the system for payment. So there's been a significant amount of changes. Because of these major improvements in the last couple of years, staff at this time does not have any recommendations for changes. But this is for your discussion. And if I've missed anything, just please let me know.
Okay. Any discussion?
Your
Yes.
Honor. So I think some of the discussion, first of all, I love the changes that have been made so far because I remember actually having to operate under the old contract in my line of work. But I think some of the conversation, and I think if we could, I don't know if you've already closed it, but go back to the roles. Thank you. So I'm really interested in kind of that first one, the A, to conduct hearings to determine the needs of the city residents with regards to the health needs, provision of human services and care of the elderly, et cetera. One of the things that I've noticed that has not really happened is that particular opportunity there. And one of kind of my thoughts to providing the Health and Human Services the ability to do that would be to allocate some of the funding that they get for 1 year to be able to actually go out and do a community needs assessment and really determine are we getting the best bang for our buck with the $80,000 that we're allocating now, and then bring kind of back a recommendation to council, and then from our perspective, really figure out, are we going after the right things? I mean, currently it seems like we're giving money to the Boys and Girls Club, the Salvation Army, Genesis Project, the CDC, a wide range of nonprofits to achieve goals, absolutely, but are we making inroads and impact truly in the community and getting the best bang for that $80,000, or are there specific areas of need that we want to target? You know, do we specifically want to go after housing for homeless? Do we want to go after food insecurity? Do we want to go after increasing educational opportunities? You know, in working with our youth, any opportunity there. And really figuring out what our actual need is. I don't think we have a really good grasp on that. So that's kind of one piece to that. And I think the best way to really kind of do that is that council and the Health and Human Services Commission work jointly together through a joint meeting to have that broader discussion and really kind of coordinate that. I know that that's been done in the past with our Parks and Recreation on what their goals and opportunities were. So that's kind of my thought to this discussion here.
Your Honor?
Yeah.
To build on what Braden was just saying, the same way that Development Services has used ASU students to do studies, maybe we should check with ASU to see if they'd want to take on a project like that to see where in our community money could be better spent or spent at all. Just a thought.
And Your Honor, also, thank you. Also, to go off of what Braden said, part of our discussion previously was, do we want to take a look at the organizations that have consistently received funding year after year? Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but do we want to talk about possibly weaning them off so that they're not year after year consistently dependent on that funding? Like Braden said, to branch out into other areas of the community. So I do think that a discussion would be good, a future discussion with the Health and Services Commission.
Yes.
ASU, when they were out here, they did a big homeless study for us, and we still have all of that. Our biggest problem with homelessness is always funding, and it's funding way above this $80,000 that we offer. And I think what we've offered in the past has helped our citizens out, whether it was for food, for clothing. There's only so much the city themselves can do, as far as we have the Health and Human Services people to go out and go through the community to see what needs, because Horizon, for example, has requests that they can't meet because they don't have housing. So we can spend a lot of time, I believe, doing this, but I think we're already doing what limits the city, because it's not the city's job, it's to fund any of these services, but we can provide money. But how they run it is part of what they give to Jennifer, correct? And that's a very tight criteria, too.
It is. It's very
So
stringent.
is there an area that, in working with this, that you have seen needs attention or needs additional?
Areas of looking at that. We kind of loosened up some of the items as well. So like homelessness was always never counted, and because they couldn't be proved that they were our residents. The fact is, they are our residents. They're not driving around to Mesa, Chandler, Queen Creek and getting food stamps and getting food. So when Genesis applied, you know, they serve a lot of homeless people, and they're in our community. So other areas that we might look into at this time, I think Councilmember Biggs had mentioned it, is maybe look a little closer to make sure that services are not overlapping each other. And again, it's what is the needs of the community now? But again, the food bank, if you don't have a meal for your lunch or dinner, that is a priority, and that's what the food bank does. So for some, it is specifically making sure that there is a meal for a family, that there are showers for individuals. So again, it's looking at services and if they're overlapping, or what does the community need at this point in time.
Your Honor.
Yes.
And to that point as well, I mean, I think, and I just brought homelessness up because it's always a topic of conversation, and absolutely we don't have enough money for it. But I think with that, the overlapping of services, you know, we fund both the Salvation Army and the Apache Junction Food Bank, as well as the Genesis Project. And I will tell you, being that I frequent all three of them in my own life and work, that I see a lot of the same people at the same place. And so while I do understand that we can't necessarily control how the agency does the program, we can control a little bit more of where that money goes. So to me, I would say that we need to make sure that the Salvation Army and the food bank are teaming up and getting the best resources versus giving both agencies money and watching the clients go from one to the other where the taxpayers' dollars is not being best used. The other piece to that as well, I just lost my train of thought. Gosh darn it. It'll come back to me.
You're too young for that.
Yeah, okay.
You have anything?
I don't at this time, Your Honor.
I do have a comment, just to add. I would like to caution us in the mindset that we don't have the funds to help the homeless situation, in that people often associate helping homeless with building a shelter, and we know it takes millions and millions of dollars. We don't need to build shelters to help homeless. We have the resources and, quite frankly, the floor space already existing in the community. And so the mindset of we don't have the money is really shifting across other communities that are addressing the issue in different ways, using the resources and floor spaces that they have in their communities. What we need is the willingness. So it's not so much the money when we say that, and it's not to start an argument or create a dissension against the comments, but I just want people to be aware that mindset on homelessness is really shifting in our neighboring communities and how they're addressing it, and it really has nothing to do with building shelters at all.
And I remembered my point. It was in regards to providing the Health and Human Services Commission the opportunity to do a community needs assessment. It really is so that we all know that what our agencies are trying to address, because many of our agencies can't afford to do their own community needs assessment. And several of these agencies, I mean, again, the Genesis Project, Salvation Army, the food bank, they all work together to serve those clients. So they might have an opportunity where they can't afford the whole needs assessment, but they might gain something from that so that they can also better serve the community as a whole. Really, then they might learn there are some opportunities for collaboration and partnership amongst their agencies, and point out things to the city that we're not targeting as well. I'm sure there are gaps that we are just simply not addressing. So that would be the other reason of kind of having that conversation and what we could do there.
Your Honor, do we have any idea, Braden, what we're looking at in terms of cost for such a thing, to do some type of needs assessment?
I guess that would be a staff question, but my philosophy to that would be, if we could allocate that in 1 year and say, hey, the 2022, 2023 fiscal year, instead of giving out $80,000, we're going to give out the whatever is the less of the community needs assessment, and that's what we have at least for that 1 year, and we can continue to move that process forward. That money's also going to be growing as well too, as we begin to approach 50,000 people in population. We're going to get some other revenue streams as well. So I think there's a wide variety of components that come into this discussion, but to potentially allocate some money that's going to help our commission, help our community overall and our agencies, I think it would be worth a topic. I don't know what it would cost though.
I think Tess was suggesting that we've utilized ASU. So
Absolutely.
as far as cost goes, that may not be an issue. It may just be an issue to initiate
However
that.
we get that done, yeah, absolutely.
So the ASU studies are really de minimis in cost, and so that's an alternative we can start looking at for a needs assessment if we want to. Matt, you were going to say something?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, Jennifer was going to walk through the next steps as far as timeline for this year's funding.
Okay.
And application process. What I may suggest to the city council is that we put this on a direction of staff so we can talk things about time, date, location, agenda, coordinating with, is it 5 on the Health and Human Services Board? Do you want to have it during their regular meeting time or one of your regular meeting times? Can we coordinate that so we maximize the number of attendees as well? if that's the, and then if
If that's the
if that's the direction that the council wants to go as a whole.
When do they meet next, or when do they meet in general? I don't,
Sorry. They meet on the fourth Mondays at 5 PM.
so if we had a joint meeting with them, I believe, Matt, you'd said they could meet on our time, or we meet at their time, would that?
What I was suggesting is that we have to figure that out.
Oh, okay.
Because they may be used to that schedule, and it may be hard for them to arrange, a little different than city council, where you have a routine of meeting a couple of times a month. And so we just have to be directed, if that was the council's wishes, we'd have to start coordinating that with them, so. But my
I've been
suggestion
through
would
these
be
enough to know
direction
that,
staff.
so that we're all on the same page, that if that is the way we want to go, then let's put it on an agenda to talk about direction to staff, like we would set up a retreat or any other special meeting, because this is what I'm sensing. Then you could really, think about it over the next couple weeks, and then think about time, date, location, and where you would want to do a joint meeting like that. We've had them like with the town of Queen Creek, where we break bread and have it midday. There's pros and cons to that, where we sit at the same table. You could do it at a work session, which is kind of what, is another idea. It's real easy. We're able to film it, or, be able to, record it. So there's different pros and cons, and we could do that at a work session, and we can get that set up.
Could that?
Your Honor?
Oh, sorry.
Bryant, couldn't we just put it on, agendize it for a future date and ask the chairman of the Health and Human Services to attend that meeting so they can give their input to see what would be the most convenient, whether we meet with them, they meet with us, however?
You could do that. You can have them come in that night of the council direction to staff night, which would be 2 weeks from tonight, and then they could interact. We could figure out a way to interact that way. Then you could coordinate. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
When to set up the time?
That's
date,
what I'm
location?
saying, have them come in, and this way, if you give them advance notice, they can, if they're gonna have a meeting here in the fourth Monday,
On
they can
February
decide
28th.
what's convenient for them and let us know.
Was this discussed at I know they just had a meeting, and I remember seeing the agenda, but I don't know what was.
During that meeting, I asked them to continue the item to the February 28th because I knew this discussion was occurring.
Got it.
And based on this discussion, but the commission members are all for a joint meeting. Several of them have some great ideas and would like to present them to council. So they are aware that this is coming.
Is it too
Possibly
soon
coming.
to do it on the February 28th? What day? Their meeting, when their next meeting is?
So their next meeting is February 28th at 5 PM. The question would be, does council want to attend that meeting, or does council want Health and Human Services to attend a council meeting and do a joint special meeting?
Or
That's-
there's lots of options. You could go to the multi-gen, you could go to CAC, you may want to have a partnership. There's just lots of things that come to mind when you work together as a team, versus where are we gonna put them? There's some logistics, where are they gonna sit? All that kind of stuff comes to mind.
How about the least expensive?
The least expensive
Multi-gen.
might be just to do it on the 28th and to give us direction on the 15th
Yeah.
to go to their meeting on the 28th, and that is
Question,
a work session night for us anyway, so.
Your Honor, question to that as well. Would this only, if we were to go to their meeting and we had that joint meeting, would it just be a discussion amongst the Health and Human Services Commission and the council, or would we be able to invite the nonprofit community partners into that discussion as well and learn from them what their experience of the application process, the grant, with the funding process as a whole, and maybe some challenges that they might want to address that they can't address?
So now I think we're talking about things that we're really getting into. Why?
Yeah.
What's the purpose? Who are we trying to reach? And the type of thing that could be, in my mind, really delved into a little better on the 15th at council direction to staff night, because I don't really know. That's more of like a, I don't want to call it a town hall, but a little bit more of a open up, having them come in and giving them input and doing a notice and letting people know, and we'd go into a much bigger room and
Order pizza?
order pizza. Yeah,
Well,
and
and
that'd be good.
realistically, the Health and Human Service Commission themselves could have a separate meeting with the nonprofits to find their leakage and,
Sure.
you know, what they think we need.
Thank you
So
all
that we
for
don't
attending.
have, so we don't
night,
have
everybody.
such a huge,
They've had enough.
Board them out, yes.
Mayor, shall we take a moment and let them clear the
Yes.
room?
Yes.
Thanks for coming.
Bye, guys.
Thank you
Nothing
all.
exciting.
They're sitting there going, what
They
they
got
talking about?
Yawn, yawn, yawn.
They don't have a clue.
Good night, everybody.
Good
Thanks
night.
for coming.
Probably don't have a clue.
Y'all come back
You're
now.
so polite.
Took me 2 years after I decided to come to council to figure out what was going on. As an adult.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to chime in kind of where Bryant was going with that. I think that's the importance of having this direction to staff to ensure that all council's in agreement on what you want to talk about and how you want to do it. And I think that's what Bryant was suggesting through the direction of staff, because we could still make that 28th date. Because the
We're
next
not even
meeting
there
is-
yet, really.
Yeah, right.
So let's do a direction to staff on the next council meeting,
Mm-hmm.
15th, right?
And can we write it up, Joel and Jennifer, where we allow for a member, just in case the chair can't make it, to interact? Like, I think the vice mayor brought that idea up, or maybe it was Councilmember Nesser, just to make sure that there's that interaction. We don't want to be able to talk to, and then I don't know if we want to invite the others then, or wait and decide to bring in you're talking about the nonprofits, right?
Right, just having a more, I mean, that's at the actual
That would be at
meeting.
the actual thing, right.
But I think based off of what Jennifer said, if all the commissioners are open to the idea, do we need necessarily the input from the chair of the commission to say, can we have a meeting? It sounds like they all want a meeting.
I think the city manager is on the 15th, is looking for direction to staff as far as what the purpose is and what direction you want to head.
Right,
And
I guess
give-
the
give them
question
some
was,
input then.
do we invite the chair to have some interaction on the 15th?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can.
Sounds like
That's
So
what
that you
I
guys
would
would-
recommend is having the chair there, because
Yeah.
they have the right to give some input,
Right.
you know.
Your
Which
chair
that
and
input
vice
would be
chair.
given about the process to set, I know this is
Yeah.
government talk.
This
The
is
process,
just
the process,
direction
but
to
that gets
staff,
you
so
ready for the
we get
28th.
the input from the chair if they have any input, so that we can give direction
Mm-hmm.
to staff.
And that way we'll know on the 28th, which is a normal work session night, if that's their regular afternoon. It sounds like they meet usually that afternoon. We can kind of know exactly, get everybody on the same page.
And we can change that meeting. We can
Yeah,
adjust the
but
time,
we'll-
and if we
we
have
can
a work
adjust-
session,
Perfect.
What time do they normally meet?
5.
5 PM.
5 p.m.
We can meet at 5.
I'd rather meet on their schedule than those guys try to meet on ours.
Yep.
I
And
think
that,
we know what to do. Thank you.
yeah, we'll
We'll
bring
bring
it
it
to direction of staff and
We'll put on direction to staff on the
some
14th, and
recommend motions, and you can
Let's-
select all those necessary.
time, date, location, and maybe discussion about,
Yeah, the agenda items.
The
and-
agenda, yeah.
Okay. And since we have no public hearings, no business, or we already did that one, lost my place here. Council direction to staff is none at this time. Selection of meeting dates and times and locations. Do I have a motion for the next meeting dates?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that an executive session at 6 PM for Monday, February 14th, and Tuesday, February 15th at 6 PM be held in the City Council Conference Room and City Council Chambers at 300 East Superstition Boulevard, Apache Junction, Arizona, respectively, and other meetings scheduled if necessary.
Second.
Moved and seconded, roll call?
Vice Mayor Rizzi,
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser,
Yes,
Councilmember Biggs.
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder,
Yes.
Councilmember Gremmel,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Mayor Wilson.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously, Your Honor.
Okay, call to the public. I would like to remind everyone that the call of the public is a courtesy and not required by law. It's a time for the public to express requests, communications, comments, and suggestions. Requests to speak forms must have been filled out and turned into the city clerk before the city manager's report. All issues shall be presented in a professional manner without personal attacks. Under the open meeting law, the council cannot engage in a discussion on the issues presented, but may respond to criticism and may direct staff to follow up with the speaker directly or place the matter on future agenda for the council discussion. There's a 3-minute time limit. And I have one person, and that's Mr. Schroeder.
George Schroeder, 2444 West Virginia. I realized we wouldn't be able to speak at that potential meeting, but I'm wondering, can public sit in on it? One for the mental health. Public can come and sit in on it. I know we wouldn't be able to talk. And, okay, so.
It'll be public.
Yeah, okay. Just want to clear that, okay. Quid pro quo has been happening since time began. I need your help. I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine. Mr. Wilson, you said it didn't happen. It did happen. I have the proof, but to give you that proof would mean a person would have to get fired to do that. And I'm not going to do that because I need that person to go farther with what's going to happen. I made a call to Homeland Security. They have funds that they can come here and clean out this city. You think I'm kidding? They called the city. I'm not going to say who, but they did call. Now, you got a bunch of crap in the city. New chief has a lot of work ahead of him. Unfortunately, he's going to have to deal with all of his problems. And just so you know, city council was not the only people interfering in the cold cases. Okay? Staff did too. Now, that's sad, because I'm trying to clean up my neighborhood. And we've got pictures of all these acts that in some of these cases got dropped. We have them. So to be clear, my initial involvement was one of my residents got a fire and safety hazard for his weeds. It got extended. Why? It's anybody's guess. They got family here to take care of it. They just wouldn't. They went and played the fiddle to Miss Wilson or Larry or whoever, and it got extended and thrown out. Another lady, 2517, she just died after a year of code enforcement violations. She just died on scenic. So I count on, I don't like it. It's not a good thing to wish for on people, but I do have to count for people dying to move forward with an agenda that I have. I don't lose any sleep over it. But we will be getting this crap out of my city. Have a good night.
Any comments from council?
Can we get an update on the extension one and what's going on with that? Thank you.
I'll adjourn the meeting.